They are trying to hide something. And I can't tell you what yet. What I could tell you is there is sufficient smoke here to warrant there being an investigation. This is what I got this morning. Paria has secretly taken away the bodies of 3 of the divers out of their compound. Families were not allowed to view the bodies of the divers. They waited at the main gate to see what was going on. Instead, Paria allowed the bodies to be secretly taken away by a convoy of hearses and police vehicles through a back gate. It is unclear at this time where the bodies were being taken. Now, it's not hearses, it's 3-panel vans. Because I have footage of that. But what if there are no bodies in those vans? And what if they seal these coffins for COVID? What if they use national security? What if they say it's evidence? Whatever. What if nobody is ever actually allowed to see that bodies were taken out of the pipe? There is no camera footage, no media was allowed. The family members of these divers are all senior commercial divers. We have every reason to believe that there is a massive cover-up taking place right now, and we still don't know why. We still don't know why the government refused to authorize a rescue Friday. I have screenshots that I saved till today to show that at 8:01 I called Stuart Young, and I called Coleman Burt, and I called Fitzgerald Hines. Coleman Burt was the acting prime minister, and that's the only reason I called him. I called Fitzgerald Hines as Minister of National Security. I called Keith Rowley, and Keith Rowley redialed my number by accident at 11:10, and I released that screenshot to the public today to let you know that Stuart Young, who sits in Keith Rowley's pocket, had to be aware that we were trying to call, and people would have come and whispered into their ears that we are doing a live video that at that time had thousands of people interested in what was going on, and the country was waking up to the reality of what was happening in Paria. They had to have known. 2 hours later, Loop published that workers, because they still had not yet secured the area, and brought in the Coast Guard to threaten people with guns. Up to 10 minutes past 10, there were people banging on the pipe from the inside. And Loop published that. Loop is an independent organization owned by Digicel. And they published that. That means between my 8 o'clock phone call, when the family were calling, family members and commercial divers were calling from on the platform, from in boats off the platform, begging for authorization. That's how I got involved. They wanted me to get people to authorize a dive. And the Prime Minister ignored. Coleman Burt as acting Prime Minister ignored. Fitzgerald Hines ignored. Stuart Young ignored. Keith Rowley is sending out condolences to the family today for something that he ignored to respond to on Friday. Today's Tuesday. Those people, when they got trapped in that pipe, apparently they stumbled onto something because they weren't supposed to go into the pipe. And when their bodies ended up into the pipe, into a pipe that I am being told has not been used for 20 years. And that pipe should not be used, or so they say. But it looks like the pipe is being used to launder Venezuelan oil illegally. Paria is not only a crime scene for this murder of these 4 divers. And the worst thing to happen to this government and Paria is Mr. Boudram surviving. Ronald Ramuta and Michael Kerban rescuing Mr. Boudram and bringing him out of that pipe has created a headache for the government. And we are worried about the safety of that gentleman, because he has evidence to give as to what he saw in that pipe. But why is the government moving so slipshod? Why are they moving so panicked? Why was that woman, when I called her Miss Balkisoon or Ramkisoon or whatever her name was, in the meeting when I spoke to Michael Way, when he was in that meeting 2 days later, why were they so panicked? Why? None of this making sense. If this is just 4 people trapped in a pipe, that could have been something that Parrier could have handled. It didn't have to be this clumsy. It didn't have to be this sloppy. Something is not making sense. And this seems to be going all the way to the office of the Prime Minister. Keith Rowley, you have to answer these questions. McDonald Jacob, Commissioner of Police, I am saying to you again, sir, there is a crime scene. There is a murder scene in Pointe-à-Pierre, 1 mile offshore at Parrier. And you have not yet mobilized any investigation to take control, to take laptops, to take cell phones, so that you, Mr. McDonald Jacobs, are allowing the crime scene to be corrupted. Trinidad and Tobago, as of this morning, we don't know if there were bodies in that van, if bodies were flushed out of the pipe at all yesterday, or if bodies were flushed out of the pipe 2 o'clock in the morning, Saturday morning, right after Friday, as I was told, as many of you heard, that the bodies were already flushed and taken. Why the cover-up? Why the stunting? What are you hiding? If for no other reason but to bring closure to the family's grief and to the national speculation, the government should have had TB6, CNC3, and all of them with bright lights for the world to see on that platform as bodies surface. And a commentator saying this is not going to be easy to watch, these are dead bodies and people are going to be hurt. Understanding. You did nothing. You are pretending that this is a toxic environment or a radioactive environment. It's a crime scene. 4 people have died. When you bring those 4 people up, if you had allowed the country to see that you have in fact rescued bodies, you could have ended this part of the speculation. All you've done by loading those bodies for no reason whatsoever into individual panel vans, giving them a police convoy escort and secreting them away to somewhere, we have a problem, Trinidad and Tobago. There appears to be a massive conspiracy underway that ended up in these 4 guys unfortunately dying. Their deaths, that's a massive issue that we have to deal with, and we lighting candles tonight outside the Red House. I am lighting candles tonight outside the Red House, and I will be lighting 4 candles for them every night for the 9 nights as a wake. But I'm also doing it so that Trinidad does not forget that the government and Parrier are engaged in a massive cover-up, and maybe why it was prudent for them to seal that pipe and allow those men to die. We cannot accept this. Is this